An opportunity to hear from Rick, our new head coach. Very excited. Before I do, just a few housekeeping things that I want to take care of. First of all, I want to take this opportunity. There's several of you in the room. I went to Fred after I made my decision to make a change, and I said, Fred, I want you to head up our search committee, and I want you to go out and let's find the right person to lead this program. Let's go out and gather a search committee made up of people who are baseball people maybe who are familiar with our program, some staff members, and a few of them are here today. I wrote down everybody's name. Fred headed it up. We also had Steve Duncan from the staff, Steve Rowe, who just spoke with you, Andy Piro. I don't know if Andy's here right now. Coach Looper, is Marla here? Marla, our softball coach, I asked her, Fred and I talked to her about being in the committee. It was important to me. These are two programs, obviously, that work a lot together. And it was important to me that our baseball coach and our softball coach were lockstep. And then Gene Parkin, who's our faculty athletic rep. And then finally, Nancy Parker, who heads up our student athlete academic services. And so that group went out, and I want to thank them because it was there was a lot of interest. There was, I think we had 83, 84 candidates, and it was very difficult to narrow it down first to just 10 people, let alone then to get down to our group of finalists. And I was very excited about the finalists that we identified. And I also, Coach Banks is here. We invited not just the search committee, but other people in the community to meet with these coaches because it's critical for us as we take this next step. It took a little bit longer in this search. As you all know, when we launch searches, I tell you I'm not going to put a deadline on it. I'm not going to give you a date by which I want someone hired. And there's a reason for that. Every search is unique. And in this case, there are several reasons why this search took longer. I can tell you the most important is we sat down and we looked at where we are as a baseball program. And we started to talk to baseball people in the state. We started to talk, Fred and I talked about what is it that we need to go forward? Before we go out and sell this externally to find our next leader, what do we need to do in salaries, budgets? What do we need to do in facilities? What do we need to do to make sure the Hawkeyes can compete for a Big Ten championship? And so I don't ever want to overpromise and then underdeliver. I'll give you an example. We're in the process of building a new indoor facility. And it's going to be a partnership with Rec Services. I think many of you have heard about this. It's going to be out on the Hawkeye campus near where tennis and those facilities are. I didn't want to go out and sell a potential candidate for this job. I didn't want to tell Rick, hey, we're going to have a new indoor space by the winter of 15, and then not have that become a reality. So those are the types of things I was making sure were in place. I can tell you all that being said, that's enough of me talking because I want you to meet Rick. Rachel, his wife, is here, and Vivian. Hi, Vivian. She came. I love your hair ribbon. We're very excited. When it came down to it, you all talk about a short list. You always wonder who's on my short list. I'm never going to share with you in any sport who's on my short list. I will tell you in hindsight or in retrospect, Rick was on my short list, and here's why. I watched him. If you look at his resume, he's taken 3 programs and taken them from the bottom of their conference to the championship. I see that Coach McCaffrey's here and his son, a little bit of interest in baseball there, but remember when we talked about Fran and him joining our team, and we talked about that process that a coach has in building programs. Well, that's something that I saw in Rick. I saw the fact that he loves baseball, he loves the Hawkeyes, and he loves baseball in the state of Iowa. When you pull all that together, it just felt right. We had some great conversations about what it's going to take, and it's with great pleasure that I introduce your next head baseball coach, Rick Heller.
Thank you. It's a big day for my family, big day for myself. It's great to be a Hawkeye. It's great to be home. And I can't tell you how excited I am to get started. But before I do, I've done this for quite a while. I've been a head college coach. This will be my 27th year. I was a high school coach for 3 years before that. So today you're going to have to listen to a lot of thank yous and a a lot of people that have helped me along the way. And I want to start by saying thanks to Gary, thanks to the search committee, Fred Mims, everyone who helped out, the high school coaches in this state, the junior college coaches, all the great baseball people in this state that have supported me during this entire process. I want to tell those people thank you at the bottom of my heart for this great opportunity. I want to thank all my former assistants as a head coach, and as the head coach this long. A little bit, every one of those guys is with me today as I sit up here. Especially, I want to say thank you to Brian Smiley, Tyler Herbst, Ronnie Prettyman, all the guys that were with me at Indiana State as we had a great run. And my high school coach, Gary Johnson, my Legion coach, Archie Syke, my college coach, Bill Prohaska, and just on and on. Let's see here. Yeah, we'll go from there. We'll start over, and I want to introduce my family. Gary mentioned my wife, Rachel, and daughter, Vivian. They're right here. I also have two daughters that are out of school. My oldest daughter, Tara, lives in Kansas City and works down there. She was a basketball player, softball player at Upper Iowa back when I was around there. And my middle daughter, Alyssa, just graduated from Indiana State last year. Was a softball player there, and she's down in Tampa working. And my mom's here, over there. Wave, Mom, so everybody sees her. And my Uncle Ernie, who's like a brother to me. Ernie is the guy who was throwing balls at me when I was 5 years old. And I'm glad you showed up, Ernie. Good to see you. And anyway, I want to talk a little bit about Rachel. Not only is Rachel a tremendous coach's wife, but she has to be for long road trips and long recruiting trips, and she understands it and she gets it, but it has to be or it doesn't work. But she's also a very successful business person in her own right, and she's a great mom, and she's my best friend. I love her very much. And I want to put a shout out to Rachel's company. She works for Forest Labs, and they've transferred her 3 times in the last 4 years, and love those guys. They've been great to our family, and it makes it really nice when they take care of Rachel like they do. So big shout out to those guys. I'm gonna tell you a story. There's a few more people to thank. I'm gonna try to draw it all together. When Gary called me last week and offered me the job, my mind went back to 27 years ago when I was a high school coach, and a guy that a lot of people in this room know because I know it's a wrestling state. And Mike McCready called me. Mike McCready was one of the best heavyweight wrestlers of all time and one of the toughest individuals I've ever met in my life. And Mike called and offered me the job at Upper Iowa. And means I take a $7,000 pay cut from the high school job to roll the dice. And he had enough faith in me, enough courage to hire a kid that just turned 24 years old to turn a program around that hadn't won so much in the last few years. And the thing that Mike told me, Mike said, you know, what do we need to do? We talked about that. He said, I think we can get started with some of those things, but I just want you to know that I'll be there beside you the whole way. And he taught me so much, and we worked together and we worked hard, and we turned around a program that hadn't won in a long time. We got to the World Series up in Fayette. And Mike's not with us, and I know Mike's smiling today, and I owe everything to Mike in that decision to take the dice roll and jump into a Division III job where a lot of people said, you know, don't take it, it's a dead end. And we turned it into something really special, and thanks to Mike for that. And that takes me to 12 years later when I was sitting in the parking lot of the Unidome up in Cedar Falls, and I was beating my head on the steering wheel trying to decide if I was going to leave a program that meant the world to me. It started from scratch, and Rick Hartzell had called me and said, I want you to be our coach. And I wanted to be a Division I coach so bad. But I also knew that it wasn't going to be a great situation at UNI, just the way it was. And you know, we're playing in one of the better baseball leagues in America, in the Missouri Valley. We're going to have to butt heads with the teams in that league that are good, and we were going to have to do it half as much. But the reason I did it was Rick Hartzell promised me, no matter what, he might not be able to do everything, he might not be able to get the money, but Rick said, I will be there with you along the way, and we'll work together with this, and we'll find a way to make it better. And he did. And then take it 10 years later when Northern Iowa dropped the program, and I can't thank Ron Prettyman, the athletics director, at Indiana State. Dr. Dan Bradley, the president there, most awesome administration ever. Those guys saved me when I didn't have a job. A good program, we turned a good program into a great program. Ron Prettyman said the same things. We'll do this together. I'll be there with you. We'll find a way. And I can't thank those guys enough. And that takes us to now. When Gary called me last week, that's what Gary said to me. We'll do this together. I want a partner. We can do this. We can do it together. The administration's going to be beside me. And that's all I wanted to hear. Because if that happens, there's no question we can get this thing going. We are University of Iowa, one of the best universities in the map. And if we can't get it done in baseball, there's something wrong. And with the partnership that we're going to have with Gary, myself, the administration, we'll go to work right now. And we'll get this done. The future starts today, and the future is bright. So with that being said, I know you're going to want to know what we're going to do from a coaching standpoint. And it's not magic. As everybody in the room that's coach knows, it's a lot of hard work, and it's having a good plan, and it all starts with recruiting. And we have to do a great job in our state. We have to take advantage of the good high school players that are here, keep them from leaving, close down the borders, get the kids that we need. And in recruiting, it's not always the most talented player, it's finding the right player. And I've had a knack of finding the right player for a long time. We maybe didn't always get first pick, and sometimes that was a great thing. Because sometimes the first pick might be the selfish guy, the prima donna, the kid that doesn't want to buy into a team atmosphere. So we're going to do our homework. We're going to try to find the right kid, find that kid who does have a great attitude, that wants to improve, wants to get better, and wants to come here for the right reason. That kid is going to have to be a good student. He's going to have to be a good citizen, and he's going to be held accountable in our program. And our kids will be well respected within the community. The next thing is player development, which is what gets me excited. That's who I am. I love coaching. I love teaching. I love practice. I love fall baseball as much as I do the spring. And I love the winter. I can't wait to get on the field. I can't wait to start working with the kids. And that's where it starts. And if you look at my resume and background, one of the things, I see my friend Bob Olis over there, one of the things that makes me feel good and the best compliment that you could ever give me, and a lot of scouts have said this about myself and our program, if you go to school with Rick, you're going to get better. And that makes me feel good, because I really take a lot of pride in being as good a development coach as I possibly can. And that's not just the field, that's the mental game, that's the weight room, speed and agilities. It all has to mesh together, and we do a tremendous job of developing our players and developing our kids. And then from a player standpoint, the players are going to play hard. Okay, they're going to be expected to play with energy, with effort, with a great attitude. And we're going to hammer guys on the mental game so that we have a sound approach, so that our players can perform under pressure and have a good plan of attack when things get tight. And in baseball, the mental side of the game is just as important as any other part of the game. We'll do a great job with that. Our players will be well taught, well schooled, and we'll have a solid plan, and they're going to be held accountable, and I know they're going to like it. And most importantly, before I turn it over to questions, one part of the game with me that's still there, it has to be fun. And we will have fun, without question. We'll have a lot of fun.